One thing that I really know, particularly as a career woman, is that life is not linear. So that story that we've been told that you need to choose a career path at 19, go to uni and then follow the ladder for the rest of your life, that linear pathway just doesn't work with our real lives. Happiness really is a verb. It's something that we need to be doing every single day. There's no happy job. There's more activities that bring happiness. Look, you know what filing is? It is boring. It can be almost impossible sometimes when you approach this enormous situation. I felt like I was standing at the bottom of Mount Everest wearing a pair of thongs. So what I am really passionate about is connecting with people or telling stories. Like I work best when I'm with people and sharing big, exciting ideas. There's no job doing that fun thing that I actually like doing. So I guess I'm going to have to just keep hitting my head against this brick wall and filing this Mount Everest of paper. You don't need to wait for someone to give you the job. You go out there and you give it to yourself. Even if someone at that company tells you that you can't, you can.
That exact advice and that exact thing is what saved my job during the pandemic. I started just making videos for the Apple launch so that we could launch something the night of the keynote.
You can actually even get satisfaction from a task as simple as washing the dishes. If you can tie that to a reason that is meaningful to you, then suddenly washing the dishes, rather than being that horrible thing that you have to do before you go to bed every night, it actually becomes something that's joyful. Sometimes these areas of strength, they're so natural to us that we just look over them. We're like, oh no, this is so easy. Anyone could do it. Listen out. Look for those items that people are coming to you for help with, because I'm telling you, like the stuff that feels that easy to you is not going to be that easy to the person next to you. You don't need to wait for the perfect job. You don't need to quit what you're doing right now and just throw in the towel because you hate it. It's quite rare that people can follow through the way that EAs do. That's a strength that I see a lot of us really overlooking in ourselves.
For anyone who's lucky enough to have a workplace that will help them train in an area, a lot of the time a workplace will, if you're good, they'd rather keep you than lose you because you're losing interest in the role.
This is where you can actually start asking for what you're looking for. And if you can take the next step and actually tie it into one of the company's objectives, that's where you can actually start getting some results. Starting to actually network and build those relationships in an area where you see yourself growing is just unstoppable.
When I got on LinkedIn finally, because I was really scared of LinkedIn for years, I don't know how many of you can relate, but I found LinkedIn really intimidating at first.
Start thinking about how can you tell the story around the results that you've achieved and how you brought your unique skills to the forefront. That first 3 seconds, which is sometimes all that you're going to get of their attention before they flick to the next resume, you've captured them and you've shown your unique value.
I need to learn Microsoft Teams before everyone else, and then I can show them how to do it, because you have oversight of all of the different things that are happening in the organization and the places where there are knowledge gaps.
Freelancing opportunities. Let's talk about that next. So, if you're ready to start stepping outside of your full 9 to 5 and get that entrepreneurial muscle flexing a little bit, you will be amazed at how busy you're going to be. There are so many people who need an intelligent, capable executive assistant, but they can't afford them full time. You'll be booked out in no time.
A great one is just, I cannot tell you how valuable that is.
With virtual assistant, if you can just get a couple of key people, you'll be amazed at how those word of mouth referrals come through.
Word of mouth is just the absolute best possible thing when you're working with VAs and any other small businesses, really.
You can tie it down into social media as well. If you've got a real knack for a certain element of social media, like social media management, that content creation is huge at the moment and nobody's got time to do it. You're always going to get to that point where you take that leap of faith and you go and you cut the ties and you commit, and that's when the magic actually happens.
You work a lot harder for yourself than you do for other people, generally speaking. It just
Oh,
feels better
absolutely.
because it's for you. I get in trouble when I talk about the chief of staff role because I have controversial opinions on the fact that
Oh,
I am
do
so
you?
tired of it being considered the default career progression
I
for
know,
women,
right?
because it's just not. And it is a very different job. A real chief of staff truly understands the ins and outs of the actual business, the finances, the business development, the back end of everything. So while I was handling the things like the inbox, the confidential communications, maybe communicating with the wider company and the day-to-day of Ash's life and his schedule, his appointments. The chief of staff was literally going through and building financial models for what was going to be happening for Q2, Q3, that sort of thing. Was actually taking meetings with VCs for our Series B and building the deck for that with all of the company information.
Operating in an entirely different function to a chief of staff at another company.
Absolutely.
So
And I've definitely seen chief of staff roles that I'm like, that's an EA role, and maybe even an EA role at that. So it's often used as a
totally.
vanity title.
If you secretly want to write a funny version of the company newsletter, go and do that. Or if you secretly want to come up with a killer Christmas marketing campaign, go and come up with that. It's all about the tasks that you're doing every single day. Yeah, that's what's filling your cup or draining you. If you work for yourself, like the opportunities with a broad skill set really are endless. If you secretly want to become a photographer, just pick a theme and start photographing it before work, on your lunch break, on the train, then publish it publicly online. The thing about being a small business owner or a freelancer is that you go from having one boss to having 16 bosses. And yeah.
It's owning your own business is not for the faint of heart. You can be someone who is extroverted but shy, or introverted and isn't shy. I'm an introvert, but I'm not shy. And so it just means that I need my downtime. Self-awareness is really key here. Going through, look at your role and look at the things you do and the things that you don't like. It might turn out that you really like doing content creation, where you're given some really clear guidelines about what people like, and you spend your time on Canva, and maybe you're getting really great at Adobe Illustrator and that kind of thing. We can give you all the advice in the world about how to pick up things here and there. Every now and then you're just going to be in a company where they're not supportive of it and your boss doesn't like it, and there's only so much you can do, and it might just be a matter of you end up doing this at a different job. Maybe you need to have a really solid, radically honest conversation with them about where you want to go and what it would take for you to stay in that role to keep you happy and interested.
If you can start with the list of the things that you know are your strengths and your values, and then you can write down a list of the strengths and skills required by the job description, look for what lines up there and make sure you are using those keywords in your highlight reel.
Examples of highlight reels, stories from amazing women who have done incredible things.